herdr is one of those tools which I would have loved to discover a bit earlier because it is amazing, especially for agentic engineering and working with multiple AI agents. Now, this is not a sponsored video or anything like that. It's just an amazing tool, and I want to show you why and how you can use it. Now, what is herdr? It is a terminal multiplexer, which is a fancy way of saying you can run it and then you can manage multiple terminal windows in one. Obviously, you would need herdr for that, of course. You can just spin up multiple terminal windows on your system, right? Well, it's a bit more than that. It is technically a client-server architecture, which means if you start something in your herdr session, let's say here I'm starting a Pi coding agent session, and I'm asking it, what can you do for me? I can technically quit this session here, and when I restart it, I'm back to where I was, and as you see, it finished its work. So processes you start here keep on working. They keep on doing what they are doing, not just coding agents, of course. Any process you start in such a herdr pane, as it's called, in one of those windows. And that, of course, can be super helpful. Also, for example, when running this on a remote host, on a VPS you're connecting to with SSH. It works like this because herdr is using a client-server infrastructure. And when you run herdr, you're connecting with a client to a server that's also automatically started if it's not already running. And your sessions then technically run on that server. And that server keeps on running even if you close that herdr pane, if you detach from that session. That's how that works. But still, that is nice, that can be useful, but the killer feature of herdr is its deep integration with coding agents. You see that there is this sidebar here on the left, and there is this agents part in that sidebar, and that is automatically populated with agent sessions you may have started. herdr automatically detects a broad variety of AI agents like Pi, Codex, Claude Code, Grok, and many more. And if you start such a coding agent process in herdr, it will add it to this agent sidebar here. So if I start a Claude Code session here in my other window, and I ask it, what's this folder about? You see that's also here in that sidebar, and you see I got this indicator that it's working. So it also hooks into those agents and shows you which agent is working, which one is not. And that can be really useful if you, like me, are working, sometimes at least, on multiple projects simultaneously, or you have multiple agent sessions going, one for research, one for something else, and you can easily switch. As you'll also see, you got mouse support. It's a terminal-based tool, but you don't need to be a terminal wizard to use it, which I like a lot because I never fully got into NeoVim. It's just beyond me to memorize all these shortcuts and ways of using it, or I never was willing to take the time to fully learn it. Here in herdr, you got shortcuts. You can easily open new workspaces. You can split your panes in various ways. You can open new tabs and stuff like that, and I'll get back to how things are organized. You got those shortcuts, but you can also use the mouse. You can use the mouse to open a new tab here if you want to. You can open the mouse and right-click to rename a workspace. You can click on menu here to find settings, so you can use your mouse here, which is very appealing. Obviously, you may ask though, well, why don't I just use a tool like Codex or Claude Code, the desktop app, I mean? There I can also have multiple sessions. T3 Code would be another example, and you would be right. You can, of course, use that. I personally like this terminal-based approach because of two main reasons. For one, I really like working with those TUIs of those coding agents. For example, Pi has this /tree command where I haven't found a desktop app that would support it. It's a feature I really like. And by the way, also a feature I'll explain along with other core Pi features in my upcoming Pi course. The best way to learn about the release of that is to go to academind.com/community and sign up for our newsletter there. Anyways, so I like working with those TUIs, with those native CLI coding agents. Also because that allows me to use tools like Pi, again, a coding agent I like a lot, which is highly extensible and get the best of both worlds. So to say, I can enhance Pi and then use it in an environment, herdr, which allows me to easily run multiple sessions side by side and switch between them. So it is simply my replacement for a capable desktop app, and with the mouse support, I can barely tell the difference, to be honest. That's one reason. The other big reason why I'm a big fan of herdr is because it also supports plugins. It also can be extended, and you can, of course, use coding agents to extend it. So you have that self-improving software. You can run a coding agent inside of herdr to tell it to build a herdr plugin to add a feature you want to have. For example, here I'm in a project I've been working on, and let's say I want to look at the code because I want to review the work the agent did to give my agent follow-up tasks. Obviously, I could open this project in VS Code or NeoVim or anything like that. I instead installed the herdr file viewer plugin. This is a plugin I installed. It was created by someone else, though I contributed to it. But of course, you could also ask herdr to build your own plugin if you want to have a functionality that's not available in open source plugins. With this plugin, for example, I have a new shortcut which opens this file viewer, and now I can see the work my agent did. And I also get highlights about changes, so uncommitted changes, and I can dive into those and take a look and see what changed and then give my agent feedback and so on. And I like that extensibility, that I can make herdr exactly the tool I want it to be, just as I can make Pi, for example, as a coding agent, exactly the coding agent I want it to be. And yeah, those desktop apps like Codex, T3 Code, they are all great. And this is maybe just my thing, but I like this extensibility. I like to be able to fine tune and tweak everything the way I want it to be. Now, let's take a step back, though. How exactly can you work in herdr now that we know that it is? I mentioned already, you can have multiple terminal windows in there, and these are in the end organized in workspaces, which are here in that spaces part of that side area. So you got agents and spaces. Here you got your workspaces. And each space consists of one or more tabs, and those tabs then contain those panes, those terminal windows. So in this project, the mbolt project here, I could add a new tab if I wanted to. Also, of course, with a shortcut, both is supported. And in each tab, I have one pane by default, but I could add more by splitting it. Also with the mouse. So I could split that down, have multiple windows in there, and now in there I could work. And of course, you cannot just use coding agents in there. You can do whatever you want. You can run your normal terminal commands here. If you want to, you can also run NeoVim in there and use that. Have your code editor here in one tab or in one pane, have your coding agents in another. All of that is possible, and that is why I think herdr is a really great tool for doing agentic engineering, for working on multiple projects, and it's easy to use because of the mouse support and has amazing extensibility, and of course has all those shortcuts which allow you to work and move quickly once you get the hang of it. Now, just to be clear, herdr is not a terminal replacement. Rather, you install it as a tool with one simple command on Linux or Mac OS, or on Windows with this command, and then you can start it in any terminal. So no matter if you're using the default terminal or PowerShell that ships with your system, or if you're using Ghosty or Alacrity or whatever it is, you can install herdr and then just start it. And starting it is really just one command, herdr, and that starts it, brings you back to your previous layout, and as mentioned, the server will keep on running even if you do quit, so you can always quit and come back later. It has many more amazing features, like the herdr remote feature, for example, which allows you to easily connect to a remote instance of herdr. So this one is one running on a VPS I created. I installed herdr on there too, and of course I could just connect to that VPS and then run herdr there. So now that would be herdr on the VPS, but now I would be running it from inside that VPS. Alternatively, I can run it from my MacBook here with herdr -- remote and then the identifier or the IP of my VPS. And then herdr will behind the scenes connect to it via SSH and will still run herdr on the VPS, but for example, with my key binding and settings from the MacBook, which is nice, lets me bring together both worlds. Yeah, and that is herdr. I definitely can do more deep dives when you're interested, let me know. But yeah, give it a try if you're doing agentic engineering, if you like working with those TUIs, with those CLI coding agents, and if you want to keep stuff organized.